What is happening, everyone? Come on, work for me. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This guy, I'm Dale Maxwell, and where are you? You're watching KickASSery. What the heck is KickASSery? KickASSery is really my opportunity to really showcase the influencers of my life, to showcase some amazing people in the world that are doing amazing things. And I am just dumbfounded at how this has all worked out and the people I've had the opportunity to meet and hang out. And today is absolutely no exception to that rule. I got the gentleman we have on today, guys, is I don't have words. The guy just knows his stuff. He's been around in the industry in live streaming for a very long time, probably before live streaming was even considered live streaming. That is what I'm really excited. David Burrows is on with us today, and I am stoked. I'm absolutely silly stoked about that. So, brother, who are you? What do you do? And guys, I'm the producer as well, so give me a second. There we go. Good morning, David. How you been, man?
Hey, Dale, I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. So, real quick, tell us all, who are you? What do you do? Where do you come from? Give us the elevator pitch, man.
Well, it was a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. No. So I guess to start at the beginning, I was a disc jockey, karaoke host for about 20 years, full time. That's what I did. If you can believe somebody made a really good living at karaoke. I worked 5 nights a week, and then I DJ'd weddings and stuff. So I did that for about 20 years. And I've been involved in the music world, probably more like behind the scenes, not in a really big way, but in a small way that I've always been a supporter of independent local music entertainment. And I got involved in live streaming it's been about 10 years now. So it was like when live streaming wasn't really cool. And nobody even knew how to say the word. I actually looked at, was I going to do internet radio? Because that was becoming a thing. And then I discovered this platform called YouTube or something. And I remember looking at that and thinking, this is dumb.
It's never going to do anything.
You'll never go anywhere. Anyway, I shouldn't say that. I remember thinking I didn't understand it quite at the moment. But then the more I sat down, I like to look at things, and I believe in, if you can position yourself with something before it becomes a trend, that's a good place to be, right? So I recognized that, and I decided that that's what I was going to do. I was involved in a business at the time, so I was like, "Oh, this video thing could be fun," And video at the time was not a perfect world at all.
Right.
It's kind of like going from black and white TV to color, but it was like the color was like the outlines of the black and white. That was the version of video at the time. And then life was changing for me, and I said, "Gee, what am I going to do?" And I actually went out and took my credit card and bought a Sony Handycam and started a show. And my wife, she was my girlfriend at the time, my wife now. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I don't know."
Good answer.
And she said, "Okay, here we go." And the rest is history now. Or we're making history. Making history and making memories, actually.
Amen. So now that's what you're doing full time now then?
Yeah, I mean, I do. It's sort of an interesting question. I think people, they see the talk show and how do you make money at that? I don't see, how do you make money at that? I don't make money at my talk show. On the outside looking in, I do have some supporters behind me, so that's nice because they just believe in what I'm doing, so they show support. But the talk show is more like a chicken wing, I call it. It's you give the chicken wing away for free, so they buy the beer, right?
There you go.
So the talk show does, I guess, have an influence on the rest of the things I do, which is, I MC events. I also have a live streaming business where, like I live stream the local lacrosse games. That's supported by advertisers and sponsors. I get asked to be I say I pimp out my personality. Like local events will hire me to be the MC and live stream to their page or my page. Honestly, quite usually to my page because that's a different audience for them. So kind of if you think of the radio remote, but live stream video.
Yep.
I get to do a lot of that, doing more of that. I do karaoke once a week still. And that's about all I can handle of karaoke anymore.
Well, now, David, you and I have something very much in common. I was a DJ for years and years and years. I started DJing when I was in 8th grade, and nice. I started my business my junior year in high school. And I've done my fair share of karaoke. Can't do it. I have to admit it. It's not my shtick. Company I worked for years, a big DJ company down in Boise, Idaho, worked for them for years. And that was a big part of our deal was karaoke. Yeah. And we managed it for several bars around the area. And I don't know. I respect you guys who love karaoke and going and running it because it was like pulling teeth for me. I was like, can anybody else do it? Please?
I like karaoke. I still love the whole concept of it. People performing, having fun. I mean, typically I think karaoke was related to, I have to be careful. In the beginning, it was kind of like a Canadian Idol before Canadian Idol existed, right?
Okay.
There was some great singers came out, at least the places I did it, and then it got almost too good, where everybody was going up was an amazing singer, and this just might be just in my location, but and then it became a little more associated with we're drinking. Right. And our inhibitions are lowered. Like I always say, alcohol kept me working for 20 years. Right.
Yep.
And now I think it's just kind of like it's a household appliance now. Right. I mean, you can go to Shoppers Drug Mart and buy a karaoke machine.
Well, there's karaoke apps for your phone now.
Well, that's right. So, I mean, the way karaoke has evolved, I mean, it's like, let's have a little karaoke party.
Yeah.
And you used to have to hire a guy like me to bring all this stuff in and do that. Now it's like, instantaneously, hey, 5 minutes from now, let's have a karaoke party, and I'll plug my iPhone into the stereo, and away we go.
Yep.
So, so for me, honestly, when I started weaning myself out of that world full time, and when video came along for me, it was really good timing.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't necessarily think that at the time, but I look back now, I go, God, timing is everything, and I've had some people reach out to me, well, why don't you do that karaoke anymore? Or Dave doesn't do karaoke anymore. It's like, you go ahead and do that. I already did that 20 some years ago. I've been DJing and karaokeing, full time 20 years. It'll be 30 years this year. And I still do a karaoke cruise. We have a local, it's called the Duke d'Orleans. A local cruise ship holds about 180 people, and I rent that boat out every year, and we have a karaoke party.
How fun is that?
Oh yeah, and we go down the St. Clair River. It's a 3-hour tour. And so I mean, timing's everything with everything, really.
Yeah.
Even though we don't recognize it at the time. So yeah, I was like, you go ahead and do it. I don't. It's over. As far as I'm not saying it's over, but it's over for a full time. I made a career out of it. It wasn't just a part-time job, right? Mm-hmm. So, I'm older now. Like I'm going to be 49 this year, and so when I started, I was 19, right?
Yep.
So I did a lot of partying. Anybody from Sarnia watching knows, but probably too much partying sometimes. But
oh yeah,
5 nights a week. I don't think I can handle it 5 nights a week. I probably want to beat somebody up.
And for me, when it comes to DJing, because I've had a lot of people. It's funny because with my personality, and I'm not saying I'm a good club DJ. I'm not a good mix DJ, but I'm a great fun DJ. I'm a great corporate DJ, and I'm really good wedding DJ.
Yeah.
And, it's funny, wherever I move to, people find out my resume and they're like, oh, we want to hire you. And I'm like, I've got little kids now. And my weekends and holidays are precious to me because that's the only time I get to really spend with them. And like you, I spend, I probably spend between my high school years and on through, I was probably close to that 15-year mark of doing it as well. And we did not just karaoke and DJing. We also did full video jockeying. So we brought the big screen, the big projection and the projectors, and we did all that stuff. And we also did the bounce houses, and we did the casino games, and we did everything. We were a one-stop shop. And 7 days a week. I mean, during
that's probably I had little kids when I was doing it.
There you go.
So there was a lot of sacrifice there.
Yep.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, there were times like, I worked 4 hours a night, so I was around all day. Right?
There you go.
So, but there's a lot of those things, Christmas parades and stuff. It's like, Daddy's got to go DJ a wedding, or even at the wedding. Sometimes we were at the wedding. I was the MC, or we went to an event. I was the DJ. So, I mean, Boxing Day, it was like, oh, I got to run the karaoke. Somebody was the entertainment, and it was often me. So, but would I do it differently? I don't know, but
I wouldn't.
It's more like those people want success, right? Most people want success, I think. But what does that look like to you, and what are you willing to sacrifice? It's, well, I play pool every Wednesday night, so I can't do well. If you, I don't know. I haven't seen any. I mean, I know some really great pool players, especially from our city. But none of them are professional 100%. So what's more important to you, playing that? I mean, you got to have fun. Don't get me wrong, but you got to adjust things, and you got to change things.
Yep.
And
as our life does this, we have these ebbs and flows in life. I don't know. I feel that we need to be as flexible as possible so that we can, like my wife. I'm an Army wife. So we're a military family. And so one of the reasons why this fits really well, and most of my businesses are online, is so that in 3 years, we're going to pack up and we're going to move.
Yeah.
So doing a brick and mortar business doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because in 3 years, you're just getting established. Oh, never mind. See you guys. I'm out of here. So, but that's part of the military life, is the spouse makes a lot of sacrifices for their family.
Absolutely.
So that, it works. I'm not complaining. I'm not bitching. That's just the way it is. But at the same time, it's like, okay, how do you make this work the best you can and move on? So, but I'm telling you, okay, so I want to shift gears back to you for a second, though, is, I've been kind of lurking a little bit. I've been kind of fanboying a little bit on you, bud. And I've been seeing you just grow your brand and grow this space. I know that you've been doing your local thing and whatnot, but growing this space, and you and Steven's on here with us. Our buddy Steven's on here with us, Steven, I got to give him huge kudos and thanks to him for allowing me on his show, which allows me to meet other people, which then introduced me to you. And this is just a beautiful networking environment, but kudos to you, man, for just stepping out that one more step and expanding, because now you're working with guys all over the world in this space. Yeah.
And I, pardon me, I've always had a lot of different resources throughout different parts of the universe, just from the music industry.
Okay.
So, and when I first started my show, which was recorded, I only recently started doing it live. I've been doing live, but that was part of the show, was the music scene. So, I mean, I've interviewed people from Argentina to you know, all over Canada, like all over the world, right?
Awesome.
And then I changed it to just about Sarnia Lambton, where I live. And, you know, now that's changing a bit again with my live show because it's an hour. I usually have 3 guests, and I'm trying to bring some of that back into it to go, okay, I'll have 2 guests that are local, and then my 1 guest will be my international guest. And that could be,
Nice.
Because I've had some of those connections reach out to me and say, how come you don't do that anymore? It's like, yeah, you know, I got really local, and local's great, don't get me wrong, but it's just changing because the show used to be a 10-minute recorded show. So I would actually go out in the community, do the actual interviews in person. Because where I live, you can get anywhere in about 15 minutes, and that's hitting every red light at the busiest time of day. So, yeah, so I mean, it's changed, but yeah, you just got to keep growing, right? I mean, and again, it's that timing is everything. I started doing a live show. It was 3 years ago. I set up in a coffee shop, and I put my banner up, and I had the camera there, and a guy come in and, you know, and they let me do that. And it was okay. And I was interviewing people live in my community. And then it didn't quite work out. It was a bit of technology, and it didn't feel right at the time for me. So I had other things going on. I was still growing this space, as you describe it, you know, and I did 330 recorded episodes of my show.
Wow.
And then 331 was the first full hour live one. And I had done, I was struggling with branding too, because I was like, okay, I've got the show Sarnia. Am I going to keep using that brand to make it live? And then I decided not to, and I went with a brand Live with David. And then it got confusing for people. So it's just the show with David Burrows, and then I have the Video Show Network, which the Video Show Network, some people in my city anyways always associate that with me. They'll comment when I'm live somewhere. They'll, hey, Dave, how's it going? I'm like,
yeah,
it's not David, it's the Video Show Network, but whatever, right? As long as you're recognizing it. But yeah, I keep coming back to the timing point, because there's a time you might have that idea here, but you got to look around yourself, and you've got to see if you're ready for it. And as much as I say that, you know, I'll still try some things and then go, yeah, no, it's not right.
Yep.
you know, but
been there, done that.
You don't know until you try it, and then you get a almost a sixth sense for that kind of thing.
Well, and what's happened to me more times, and my wife, this drives my wife batshit nuts, is, you know, I'll be like, ooh, you know what? This isn't hard. This isn't blah, blah, blah. This is something that, let's try it. And I'll jump in it. And same thing. I'll be like, nope, didn't work so well. But if it's something that when I was doing my feasibility, you know, I was going through that process of figuring it all out. And after I jumped in, I tried, I'm like, okay, bad timing. You're absolutely right. Bad timing. And I'll be like, okay, this is something that's so worthwhile. I'm just going to shelf this one. I'm not going to throw it in the garbage. I'm just going to shelf this one. And then I'll try a couple more things. I'm like, nope, that's garbage. Nope, that's garbage. And then, okay, I'm going to shelf this one. And it's that kind of process for me, at least, not for everyone, but for me at least, has helped me, because then when timing becomes better, technology, opportunities, network, whatever it is, becomes more available, then I'm like, ooh, I'm going to take that off the shelf and let's plug that back in and see what works. And that has really been good for me. But then again, all of this crap that I keep throwing in the garbage is very discouraging.
Well, you know, it's experience, right? It's just life experience. And I forget who said it. I wish I had come up with it. So you don't go through it, you grow through it.
Amen. Yep.
You know, so it's I mean, where I'm at today wasn't even close to where I was 10 years ago, but it was up here.
Yeah.
It might have been a bit of a puzzle, and I had to like put the pieces together in my head and go, okay. But it was always there, right? And probably even, honestly, even before, like when I was doing karaoke and DJing, I said, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have a talk show or I could even a game show or something, something fun. And I remember always thinking when's this karaoke thing going to stop? Right.
Right.
But it was, like I say, I did it full time for 20 years and I stopped at 20 full time by choice, not by, I probably could have done it if I'd have continued that direction. But, I knew at some point, life had to change for me because it just needed to. Right. Again, the time, I can't say it enough, timing. And passion and all that stuff. We've heard everybody say, "Oh, you got to have passion," and I even talk about that in my interviews. Oh, you're obviously passionate. Okay, if people don't get that by now, they're not paying attention. But there's still an element of risk taking.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take the risks.
You got to be willing to get kicked in the teeth.
Well, I read a book once, and I might have it on a shelf somewhere here in the studio. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but it's a really good book. Anybody watching, Fail Your Way to Success.
Yep.
It's a book about, it was an insurance salesman back in the 50s or 60s, and he wrote the book. But it still applies today. So, and speaking of books, that's probably the other thing I think a lot of people don't do is read. I know books, hardcovers, and that aren't as popular as they were 20 years ago, but they still do exist.
Yep. A whole stack of them.
Read the books. And if you don't like to read, there's YouTube.
Audible.
Audible. There's a lot. Whatever. What do you want to listen to it? Watch it. Read it. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I encourage people to do 10 minutes a day. And I should say start with 10 minutes a day. People, I don't have time. I have so much to do. You know what? You can't afford not to.
Mm-hmm.
Do 10 minutes of some kind of positive mental meditation, whether it's reading Tony Robbins or Dale Maxwell.
That one's coming out. That one's coming out. There will be a Dale Maxwell book in the next 3-4 months.
I jest, of course, but John Maxwell, right? And is another one, and any of those ones that we've all heard. And if you haven't heard of them, just Google, find what fits for you. But you'll find that 10 minutes will probably turn into 30 minutes a day, and you don't have to do much more than 30 minutes because you won't remember most beyond 30 minutes. You won't remember likely more than 15 minutes, but subconsciously you will.
Mm-hmm. In throw Kindle. Well, this is what I do. I threw Kindle on my phone, and so I always have 4 or 5 minutes between something where I can pull out my phone and I can read.
Do you drive a car?
I usually push mine, but I drive it sometimes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But that's a mobile university right there, right?
Absolutely.
There's no reason to not access it somewhere. However that works for you, the person. But I think I got a stack of books here. Here, how to do this and how to do that and how to Jeff Olson was one of my favorite guys. He wrote a book called The Slight Edge, and his background comes from Texas Instruments to solar panels before solar panels were cool 30 years ago to big network marketing guru. But whether you're in that world or not, the Slight Edge, it's about tiny disciplines that seem to make no difference, but compounded over time will have an effect, or simple errors in judgment. Slight edge, one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
So that's the basic principles to it. But he even said, if I could just hand you a book on how to stop doing drugs, we'd just hand everybody a book that was doing drugs. Well, it's not that simple though. You have to apply the principles and the philosophies, Well, you got to want it, I guess. But if you're going to read the book, at least you want it. I think everybody wants it, whatever it is. But I think whether they're always willing to listen to it is the difference, right?
Well, we all want it, but are we willing to put in the work to get it?
Well, I'll tear that up a little bit when I'll say,
yeah.
I think most people would be willing to put the work in, but what is that? Like the work is okay. So if I work 40, like if we say, so if I work 40 hours a week for 40 years of my life, that's going to work. Well, it might. Depends on your job, I guess. But
Depends on what you want.
It's the sacrifices in that work. What we were talking about earlier, right?
Right.
So it's not so much the work; it's the what that is to, I say there's lots of times. Hey, I'd love to stay home and do nothing, but well, I got to go do that thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and my wife sometimes she even pushes me out the door. I'm like, I really don't feel like going there. I don't want to see anybody. I just don't want to be around people, whatever. And she's like, you have to go. And I'm like, yeah. And then I get there and something happens and I'm like, oh my goodness,
this is all right.
I'm glad I came here because I would have missed that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. You have to define what works for you, but there's no money in your comfort zone. I can tell you that. There's no success in your comfort zone. I can say that for sure. And I've had a conversation the other day with somebody. And they're like, man, you got a really big comfort zone. Like your box is huge, right? For being in the zone. And I'm like, I step out of my box every day.
Yeah.
They're like, really? Like, you have no idea.
Yeah.
What goes on up in here, right? But I mean, yeah. So compared to some people who don't, I might go on stage and I MC and I do, oh wow, look at but behind the scenes, you don't know what I'm stepping out of.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I step out of my comfort zone every time I talk to you or someone who is established, or because that whatever jumps in and goes, well, Dale, you're not good enough to talk to David, or you're not, Steven, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So I'm stepping out of my comfort zone in a big way, reaching out and saying, hey, David, would you want to be on this tiny little show called KickASSery?
Now you say that, right? But you see, and it's good that you do. And I'm flattered by the way you described that, but I go through the same thing.
Yep.
There's other people that I go, and maybe not as much as I used to, because now I ask.
Right.
And you either get no response at all, or you get a thank you, but no thank you, or you get a, yeah, sure.
Let's do it.
So, I mean, it's kind of like sales, right?
Yeah.
Most people don't like sales because it involves asking for something.
Yep. And
most of us don't like to ask for help. We like it when people ask us for help.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We all like to, hey, could you help me with something? Most people, well, yeah, sure. What can I do? Or maybe, once they realize you're not asking them to borrow their truck or help them move or borrow money, they're pretty good with you.
Yeah. Usually, and that's the thing is, I, when it comes to this project, when I started, I was like, what, low hanging fruit, right? The easiest ones, the people that I know I could at least guilt into jumping on here with me and just get it going, and just get it going. And since that time, it's just incredible because yourself, Steven, RJ, who was on here with us. Hi, RJ. People of your guys' caliber are saying, yeah, sure, let's do it. That's awesome. Which just helps me, because then now I've got more confidence. Now I can say, you know what? All right. This is good. This is cool.
Yeah, I remember going to a conference years ago. This was probably about 17 years ago. I went and saw a gentleman speak that I was like, wow, he's amazing. And I won't say his name, but I waited and I waited and I waited, kind of like the kids standing outside the concert waiting for an autograph.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk to him. I mean, this was before cell phones and pictures and all that. I just wanted 5 minutes, right? And he finally came out and I said, oh, hi, Mr. Zoltan. I just have a moment. I'm really busy. I got to go. and he just gone. And I was like, are you kidding me right now?
Right.
And I told myself then that if somebody asked me for my time, I will give it to them. Even if it's not right at that moment, I will at least acknowledge, and I'll say, listen, I'm more than willing to talk with you or give you, 5 minutes of my time or 15 minutes of my time. I mean, you can't give everybody all your time all at the same time, but here's my number. Give me a call. Or how can I reach you if you don't want to give them your number, whatever that looks like. And that's made a world of difference, even just for me, because I know the people that have given me their time over the years for different things, even before this live streaming thing. And sometimes all the person needs is one person to believe in them.
Yep.
Or to listen to them. And that's just and I where I live, we're well known where I live in my city, so often I go pretty much can't go anywhere without running into somebody, the grocery store, the department store, whatever, and it's fine, right? Like I mean, sometimes my wife sometimes she's like really, like we're having dinner right now,
can we go now?
Well, like we're having dinner, right? And it's like, hey, how are you? People will approach me about their cause or whatever. I say, you know what? Sounds interesting. Get a hold of me. I'll talk to you later. But then they follow you over to the dinner table. And anyway, whatever. That's just part of it. So, yeah, you just give somebody your time. And I'm not saying like work for free, but when you judge when someone is, I mean, it should have been obvious to this guy that I was standing around waiting. And come on. And I was the only one standing at this door waiting.
Yeah.
Okay. He was late for catching his airplane or his ride, or his wife called and yelled at him, or who knows, right?
Who knows, right?
But it only would have taken a moment. And a moment,
to acknowledge you.
Do you know what a moment is? Do you know how long a moment is?
Defined?
Defined, a moment is 90 seconds.
That's like a technical, okay.
Yep. It's for the purpose of the law, right? A moment is 90 seconds. So, sir, could I have a moment? It's only 90 seconds. Most people don't know that, but
a minute and a half of your time.
Yeah.
So, you know what's crazy, bud? We're at a half an hour already.
Holy wow.
Isn't that nuts? Dude, every time I do this, I'm like, I look down at the clock. I'm like, oh, wow. All right. So let me ask you this. Let's work into wrapping this up a little bit, because for those of us who are fledgling live streamers, or we're wanting to get into the live streaming environment, or we're wanting to do something media based because that's your life, that's your biz. What are some pieces of advice that you have for us?
Don't do it. No.
Run away.
I could do a whole hour show or more on that. I think you have to decide, right, what you want to do, and you have to have a plan. Like write it down. Just put your thoughts down, and if it's not writing it down, talk into something, whatever. But collect your thoughts somewhere other than just up here, so you can refer back to it. Look at it every once in a while. You don't have to look at it every day. Look at your goals every day. We don't have to look at it every day. Consistency. If you're going to do a show every Monday, do a show every Monday and don't be late. Whether you realize it or not, you don't know who's watching and you don't know who's counting on you to be there.
There's truth right there.
Yeah.
I've learned that lesson the hard way.
And be willing to adjust. I mean, what you want it to look like will change over time, again, because of whatever you're doing. So put the time in, Be patient with it and don't look at that view count button. Doesn't matter if there's 0. Do it like there's 100,000 watching.
Amen.
And because most of the views come after the live's over anyway.
Yep.
And then keep doing and doing and doing and believe and all that stuff. But you got, and yeah, I would say that's consistency and repeat, and be willing to adjust.
Yeah.
I mean, I could get into branding and all that stuff. You got a fantastic brand going on there, by the way. I think that is so awesome. And you could have done that with the color red, but I like that you didn't. I like that you did it with blue. And I'm sure you had your reason for that, whatever, but you got a fantastic brand going on. You've got great stories of yourself, and you're reaching out to those whomever you feel influenced by, or their story's important. When you interview people, make it about them.
Yeah.
Just keep doing what you're doing, man. I think, and whatever just start. I think that's the toughest thing for anybody is just start. I don't know how to start. I didn't know how to start. Press that button.
Just talk.
And don't worry about what anybody else thinks, because A, it's none of your business. B, it's not their life. And C, they're probably not going to show up at your funeral burial when they put you 6 feet under. So who cares?
Truth, and truth.
Before I got to tell you this story real quick. I know you want to wrap up. So Jeff Olson that I spoke about earlier. Jeff Olson, write that down. Jeff Olson, The Slight Edge. Get that book, and I am not paid to say that. So he tells a story. You know what the one variable is that decides how many people are going to show up at your funeral burial? And I'm not talking the visitation. I'm talking the burial, where they come out there and they watch you go 6 feet underground. Do you know what the one variable is that decides how many people will show up? The weather.
Okay.
Like if it's pouring, storming, cats and dogs, rain that day, that's a bad day to go down.
Yeah.
Right? And get this. Most of the people you meet in your life, and if you count how many people from the day you were born to the day you die you've met, most of them aren't coming.
Mm-mm.
The weather's going to decide how many of those people do show up. Those that do show up, the majority of them will not cry. So 2 in 10 may cry. So if most of the people you meet in your life aren't going to show up, those that do show up that got through the weather thing, are likely not going to cry. Who cares?
Right. And that fear thing that you were talking about, I've been running a daily, I'll call it a vlog for 4 years now. I've probably done 1,000 episodes over that time. And when I first started, I was just like, because we hear all these horror stories about trolls and these people just running you through the muck and this and that. And
a dog does not chase a parked car.
Exactly. And I was so afraid. I was like, oh, what if somebody doesn't like me? Who gives a shit?
Don't hang around with them.
Exactly. And here's what I've learned. Now, I'm only speaking for myself. I can't project this on anyone else, but here's what I've learned for myself is that I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking to people like you and I.
Yeah.
And guess what? Those people that I'm not talking to aren't listening, and it's never been an issue.
I had a guy send me a message there. It was probably a couple of months ago now. I sent him a whatever, and he said, "Your show sucks." He just literally said, "Your show sucks." And I said, "Thanks for watching." That was my reply.
For you.
My show sucks. Well, you would only know that if you watched my show.
There you go. So thanks for being there.
Thanks for watching. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, David, I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate you being willing to come over and share some amazing nuggets with us,
Oh, you're
man.
very welcome. I'd
I
do it
really
again.
appreciate that. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Any last little tidbits, something you want to close on?
Just do what you love. You know, take your passion, put your passion into it. Be prepared to fail.
Yeah.
Failure's okay. I mean, unless you keep making the same mistakes over and over, but fail your way through it and grow through it, and have fun. Fundamentals. Have fun with it. If you're not having fun, why are you showing up?
Amen to that.
That's all I can say. Thanks for having me on, Dale. I appreciate you asking.
Brother, thank you very much. I'm going to do my outro. Stick around. Don't click out. All right, man. Thank you, David. Appreciate you so much. Might help if I click the right button. Yeah. David freaking Burrows was on our show talking about the industry, his experience, his life, his background. That's what this is about. This is about us learning from each other. This is about us growing. I love how he's like, just do it. Just get out and do it and learn from it. And, one of the things he was talking about failing, I love the saying fail forward. And that's pretty much been the MO for my adult life is failing forward. And, here's the thing. We're going to get our teeth kicked in. We're going to get our nuts kicked and it's going to suck and it's going to hurt and it's going to be hard to get up some days, but we got to get up anyway, so I really appreciate him being on and taking his very precious time to be with us. Guys, join me tomorrow. RJ, we got to get RJ in here real quick. She learned a lot this morning. Never thought about trolls in quite the same way again. I love RJ. Thank you. So tomorrow, join me tomorrow at 10 a.m. We have the recap show, the week in review, and I will be revealing my letters from the influencer scavenger hunt. So RJ, I haven't seen any of your letters, by the way. Calling you out. I got called out last week. So I'm calling RJ out on this one. Guys, have an awesome rest of your day. Have an awesome rest of your week. Keep kicking names and taking some ass. Guys, keep smiling because somebody's going to need it. All right, I'll talk to you soon.